we going live? I think we are. We are live once again, ladies and gentlemen. And we are coming to you once again under adverse circumstances. Um, I am at a Starbucks near the Walmart Supercenter in the unbelievably nice sounding Riverview West in Santa Ana, at the corner of Harbor and McFadden Avenue, in case anybody's familiar. So anyway, we're going to be, like I said, doing the show from Starbucks without my proper headphone and mic and interface and what have you. So, but it's not all for naught. Because it's you guys, and you know that I would go to the ends of the earth for my guys. I thought I would play you two of my Republican-oriented music videos. And here's the first one. It's called Trump not Trump. It's called UFC at the White House. And it goes like this.
Trump hosts UFC. You and me, we can't even eat. Come November, we're gonna beat Republicans. Republicans. Republicans.
Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot believe the reaction. Thank you. That was just an unbelievable round of applause. And now, just to prove to you that this is, Tuesday, June the 9th. Just because for you guys, Taco Tuesday, I'm going to turn you on to, wait a minute, let's wake the kids and phone the neighbors. This is a big one. How about Roll Those Republicans? Here we go.
Roll those Republicans. We're going to 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 roll those Republicans every time.
Hey guys, I can't believe it. They won't. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you want to check in, give us a call, 949-629-3820. And like I said, we'd always love to hear what's going on with you guys. And especially what I would like to hear from you guys is how about not only Trump at the UFC, but how about Trump at the next Spurs game? I was really heartened by the booing. It made me feel so good because as I look around the world, and let's see on Iran for a second, I asked myself a couple of questions. Are we better off now than we were before? And the answer is no. We're not better off. Things really suck. Number two is, are we as influential in the world as we were before? Has our status changed? Well, yes, it has, and not for the better. And now I'll kind of string a few thoughts together here. And I want to mention Trump's interview with Christian Walker. Only because I chatted about that earlier in another broadcast yesterday. But the point to be made is, it's really simple. The guy's a lunatic. He cannot tell the truth. And the worst thing that I took away from that was that when Christian Walker asked for proof of election fraud, proof of January 6th being peaceful, and FBI agents escorting people through the Capitol, when she asked him for evidence, Trump blew up. And he says something like, um, "Oh, Christian Walker says, but there's no evidence." So, and he says, "There's plenty of evidence that hadn't been presented." And they said, "Well, I know. Tell me more." So Christian Walker asked him, like, "Well, how do you know it's election fraud by data?" She says, "I know it when I see it," which is, ridiculous because he's hanging out in the White House. He doesn't see crap Obama. Well, actually, he does see crap Obama. Crap Obama he's done to D.C., which used to be a great city. So anyway, in D.C., what we're talking let's see. So anyway, he's just crapping all over the White House. And the interview was, so my big takeaway that made me laugh uncontrollably, and I'm really, kind of conflicted about this moving later, is that when Christian Walker pressed Trump for evidence, he said something like, "Well, I know what I'm told and I know what I see," or his people tell him, whatever it is. And if that's true, that means that his White House staff has been feeding him garbage from day one. And he doesn't know the difference. And it's really bad for us because we know we know how erratic and irrational the guy can be. But think about that. His evidence for January 6th being peaceful and the election being rigged is what his staff told him and what he heard, what he saw and heard. Now, I don't know why Christian Walker didn't ask if he remembered the speech earlier that day, but for whatever reason she didn't. And I'm sure she was a little unnerved by it. I mean, Trump just looked like a lunatic. It unnerved me. I mean, I tell people I watched the replay and it was just like shaky, thinking that guy is the lawfully elected president of the United States. I mean, if that one was an example of stark raving lunacy, I don't know what it is. Watch it once, twice, whatever it is. I just fail to understand how everybody defends that. And that's just, even the crazy guy can get even crazier. And this kind of stuff is dangerous. And it's consistent with his narrative that if Republicans win, it's a fair, square election. If Democrats win, it's voter fraud. Now, I don't know why this pattern doesn't have any legal significance. You would think it would. But it just doesn't. Or it doesn't seem to. So, what do we do about this? And, of course, there's a few answers, but, ultimately, it's about voting. And if you want to know why Democrats can't do much anything about it, is because in D.C. they ain't got any power. They don't have the House, they don't have the Senate, they don't, they're clearly not the White House. The judiciary has clearly been bought and paid for, which really distresses me to have to say that, but there's just no other conclusion you can come to after looking at the Roberts Court. And don't forget, Roberts was a part of the Federalist Society. I think he grew up, he might have worked in the Nixon White House, or it's something like that. And he's been working on expanding presidential power for about 40 years. And guess what? The immunity decision did it all. That's Trump's justification for everything. I have immunity. And this whole IRS bogus settlement, where he gets an audit-free guarantee for eternity for he and his kids. Now, how can it be legal to give someone the right to commit a crime? I'm just kind of curious. He's already robbing his wallet. We don't need to open another spigot for him. And if people cannot see the grift and the greed and the corruption and the conflicts of interest, if you can see that he's about as crooked as, I don't know, the letter S. He's just a crook. And if you look at the past as someone else predicted the future, he'll come up with the exact same thing, which is why I'm kind of, and on top of all this, I'm going to look around later this afternoon and see if I can find what Mary Trump has to say. I mean, the next Spurs game was just, those were loud boos. And it seemed to me as though Trump is trying to come across as the kind of guy that loves to be hated because that gives him an opportunity to use his innate meanness to hurt people. And if everybody out there watching has more of a psychological insight than I do, give us a call, 949-629-3820, or send us an email. We're dying to hear your thoughts about this. It's not every day you wake up and you see the leader of the most powerful nation in the world, even as degraded as we are. And, while we're clearly superior to China and Russia, China's clearly caught out. Russia just can't get out of its own way. But China's the deal to watch out for. And they're passing us. And you know why they're passing us? Well, the primary reason is we've got a lunatic in the White House who cannot finish his sentence, much less define a policy beyond just a few words. If you analyze his speech patterns, I think you'll see that they're fairly consistent with a very young child, or anyway, you'll get the message. Does he remember anything about January 6th? Oh, maybe he said he watched the tapes. And I'm like, what tape did you watch? Guys, if this doesn't impress upon you that it really is all hands on deck, poopy-doo hitting the fan, full blow, that poop crazy guy. If you see that, let me know. And if you don't see that, let me know too. I would love for you to explain this to me. But at the next game, he really came across as somebody who wanted to be hated so he could be mean and crush people. And I'm not much of a psychiatrist, but Jesus, that seems really dangerous, especially when the weapons you have include the nuclear capacity of the United States of America, such as it is. That interview is just nothing but concerning, nothing but. And as I look around, people are clearly feeling this, and I think that everyone's so tapped out financially and emotionally, mentally, that it's hard to keep up the intensity of protest and activity that needs to be kept up until after 2028. I agree with everybody. Let's get through 2026 first, and let's hope. In Maine, I don't really know what to do about the Graham Plattner problem. If it was a perfect world, he would bow out, and Janet Mills would be the Democratic write-in candidate, and at least get the Democratic seat that way. Plattner, that's a lot of times time doesn't make a memory fade. A lot of times it makes it more intense and more real. And I've never been the victim of sexual assault. I've certainly never perpetrated a sexual assault. But I can only imagine what would happen after 10 years or so. I'm stewing about being sexually abused. I mean, I think I might be even meaner 10 years later, knowing that nothing was done, than I would be had it been prosecuted and gone through some sort of normal channels. So, and we need, God knows, if we can get the Senate, there's a substantial chance that Trump could actually be convicted. Let's say the Democrats have the Senate 52 seats to 48. They still need 66 or 67 to convict. So that means maybe 15 senators more. And while you would think those have come from the outer space, would come from the Republican Party, but I think after showing how destructive Trump is to their politics and their political standing, it would not surprise me at all if the voices against got a little louder. God knows it's necessary. It just astounds me how the inevitable conclusion is he's nuts. I mean, there's just so much just evidence on top of evidence on top of evidence, and behavior patterns. I mean, who posts 50 times at 3 in the morning? Other than someone that's like mentally disturbed in some way. And these mental problems don't get better with age. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. That's the good news is it'll all be assigned to the Republicans. But the bad news is what we'll have to go through in the future. If Iran's economy is so in the dumps, that it would take, see this? My official Roxy Radio Network, RoxyRadioNetwork.com, shout loudly. Anyway, so you got the Janet Mills and Grant Platinum problem. But if we can get the Senate, there's a good chance we can drag 15 members of the Republicans on. I mean, at this point, and after 2026, if the vast majority of Republicans get blown out of the water, Trump's gonna have to listen, and so will the Republicans. If Trump is really blown out, then you can expect a distancing of other Republicans from him, such that they just might go along with an impeachment this time. I think everybody knows. And the truth of the matter is, he's always deserved it. He just weasels out of it. Or Mitch McConnell weasels him out of it. He's just a bad guy who in no way has improved anything since he's gotten here, despite what he will tell you. And that's another thing. There was a headline the other day. Our man says that Trump is not a viable interlocutor anymore because he's so inconsistent and contradictory. Well, yeah, and we know that. But what the compounding problem is when you take the position that you're the smartest person in the room who knows everything about everything, which Trump has, you don't listen to expertise because you are the expert. Now, of course, Trump's expertise comes down like a binary choice. Does he say yes or does he say no, or does he maybe say maybe? But that's a shade of discretion I doubt he has. So with that in mind, we got to blow these guys out in 2026 to pave the way for 2028. Maybe we can undo some small portion of what he's done. But like I said, if Iran's economy is so in the dumps and it's going to take decades to recover, you would almost have to think the same thing about us and the civil service and just the brain drain or the brain exodus that Trump prompted. And he got it. He's doing it according to the book. That the only figures he wants out there are the numbers he puts out there. He don't want objective numbers. Even if the Dow was 50% off, 25,000, he would say the short sellers made a bundle on this. I mean, he just doesn't appreciate the implications of his decision. He'll make a yes, no, maybe in the moment, but he has no idea what to do later. Um, I think you can see that in their foreign policies. And I would say the Iranians were right. He's just too contradictory and conflicted. And you know what it comes down to? Credibility. Does anybody believe anything Trump says? Now, you have to start out from the position that, well, no, he's a liar who would tell you it was Wednesday if it was Tuesday afternoon. And again, there's more than enough evidence of that. And this is just things that, I've seen occur or had people tell me. Oh, isn't that just ludicrous? In some ways, I think he's a purveyor of what was called gastronomic justice. And gastronomic justice is usually what happens when you have a hearing in front of a judge early in the morning, and a judge may have had a good or bad breakfast. If the judge had a good breakfast and you're like first one up, you're like, it's like T-ball. I just tee it up and I'm swinging, pal. This is it. But that's not always the case. Guys, I tell you what, let's move on for a second and chat about ask me about, we saw the Spurs next game. Give us a call, 949-629-3820. And, by the way, if you go to the live stream link on the homepage, smartcityradionnetwork.com, you'll scroll down a little bit and you'll see the live stream link. You'll join us or catch a past episode. We're right there for you. Gosh, this is, it's really funny. Whenever my routine is varied, I am really put off. I really am waiting to have a tires put on because there's a sheet metal screw sticking out of one of my tires on the sidewall. And in a stroke of genius, I decided that what did I decide? Sorry, we just got a flash coming through that we were just mentioned in the reel, and of course we're always grateful for that. But anyway, back to is everybody keeping up with the elections to Los Angeles? We got, of course, Trump claiming election fraud because the guy that was leading is no longer leading. And that Trump is evidence of election fraud. And what had really happened to do that was there were some votes counted. And actually, there was like 47,000 votes counted. And I think that what's his name, Spencer Pratt, got like 13,000 or 14,000. And Aretha Rahman got 33,000. So as long as the vote count, was unchanged on it's not right. two allegers, only on one side. That was only on the only fraud against Nithya Raman. And I can't really ask the guy for evidence. And I love saying this. You ask him for evidence, he just kind of yells and screams. And you know why? You know why? There used to be a show on BET, and it was called Comic View. And my mom used to, we love BET. And they had this show on Comic View. And it was hosted by this older black woman. And whenever someone sends COD or asks for COD, she goes, no CODs. And you know why? So, everyone knows the whys here. So it's kind of jumped to mind. But like I say, election, and another thing, I keep mentioning that when Trump first came into office, of course, he came in with a bluster with gung-ho people who collectively had the IQ of a thimble. He came with these guys, of course, that are gung-ho, take charge, was it break fast, break things fast or something, or move fast and break things, whatever it is. And that's what he did. He literally just broke the government, just stripped it. And you guys know the results of the Big Beautiful Bill. You guys know how many people lost health care. You guys know how many people don't get their SNAP benefits. And you know how so many people that are always subject to some sort of catastrophe that is caused beyond the shadow of a doubt by global warming. And you just look at the armed position, and it's just completely unsustainable. I have no idea how to do this with a straight face. And the even more difficult part for me to understand is I don't know where they find people to believe this garbage. I did a video a long time ago. It's a parody of Jane's Addiction, Jane Says. And so Jane says, like Trump says, and I'll try to dig it out for you. But how do you deal with something like that? And his staff knows. Like I said, as far as information, I think if you look at it from the staff perspective, it's like two choices. You can either tell him what is actually going on, and get yelled at and fired, and you have death threats. You never know those guys. Or you tell him what he wants to hear, so you have a safe job. You can go by doing whatever it is you want to do while the old man's asleep. So what do you think it is? And to the message, it doesn't matter. It's just BAD, beyond words. And we really need to settle on board because, hang on a second, the email just came in. Okay. Oh, you know what? How about that? Breaking news. A Democratic candidate just filed to run for Newport Beach City Council. And I live in Cornell, so I call Hamlet of Newport Beach. And this traditionally is one of the reddest parts of California. I mean, Orange County gave you Richard Nixon and, Ronald Reagan to a degree. This is a really solid Republican area. I'd like to think it's changing. And we both know that the agent bringing about the change, who do we have to thank for turning Orange County purple and or blue? That's right. We've got the old Don Corleone. And Tom Friedman had an article the other day, editorial, and it was something like "Hail to the Commander and Thief," in which Friedman espoused the real Don Road Doctrine. See, at first those guys were thinking they were kind of taking over James Monroe's doctrine, and the Monroe Doctrine was so like, this part of the world belongs to the United States, no foreign governments, no colonies, no settlements, no nothing, just it's ours. Which, okay, we'll give Monroe, President Monroe that. But the way Friedman has modified it, Friedman says that the new Donroe Doctrine is if you oppose Trump, he will tariff you. But if you need Trump, he'll extort you. Clearly, usurious type of behavior and clearly unfit for a president of the United States. Oh, and by the way, as we get ready for another wildfire season out here, it's just dry. As we get ready for another wildfire season, we have comfort in knowing that FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, has been dismantled. No federal help for natural disaster claims. Yeah, that's the stuff you guys let them get away with. And it's always so funny to me that when I look around at, like I said, the important stuff that's going on in the world, Trump clearly prefers to spend time with the reflecting pond color, with a monument to himself, and another monument to himself, and other monuments to himself. Oh, how about the ballroom? I am so sick of hearing about the ballroom. The next time I hear somebody make a ballroom for Trump, I'm going to give him an extra large pair of underwear and say, "Here, is that a ballroom for you?" Sorry, sometimes they just ask for it. He would obviously much rather host, not just go to, but host a UFC, that's Ultimate Fighting Championship, a UFC match or bout or evening, whatever it is, on the White House lawn. So I don't know how many tens of thousands of people this thing can hold, but I bet you it holds a good many. So you got that many more people as a security problem, just in general. I mean, the whole Capitol Hill is going to be all shut down. And that doesn't help people when they go, to the Hawk and Dove or the Tune In or any of those Capitol Hill bars that have existed forever. And, if Wallace can talk, we'll tell you some of the major stories in the United States political history. But when the Hawk and Dove was a little nicer than the Tune In. The Tune In had like $2. It was hard to spend over $2 for a drink or something. But the Tune In and the Hawk and Dove was like $3 or $3.50, so that was a major step up. But the really cool thing, I shouldn't even say this, was going to Georgetown, not the school, but the area of DC, and seeing how they're really together people do it. I don't even know them, but they had a place called Clyde's, it's still in business, really well known, and they had I want to say a place called Blues Alley, or something like that. And I remember seeing Roy Cooter there, and it's just great stuff. But anyway, so Trump would rather do like the reflecting pond, the arch, the $250 bill, the UFC fight. He would rather do anything than do presidenting stuff, like maybe manage the war he goes into. So he's probably not taking advice on either. Something I don't know if I'm obviously been talking too much, so like my throat gets sore like really early. I'm shocked at this, but we'll soldier on for at least an hour, and I say, and remind everybody about that silence is compliance. Shout louder. Democracy Radio Network. You talk, and guess what? We listen. We want to give you guys a platform to plug candidates or just let us know what's going on in the world, in your world. 949-629-3820. And like I said, the login link and the live stream, login link, the live stream link and the phone number are on our site at democracyradionetwork.com. And since you're listening now, we'll just go ahead and tell you to give us a call, 949-629-3820. And then share a little bit of your political thoughts and minds. If you're calling, I'm going to presume you're a Democrat, a liberal, or a progressive in some way, because you conservatives are just, you're criminals. One of my favorites was the Ronald Reagan trickle down theory. The only thing that trickled down was kind of yellow and, it was liquid, if you know what I mean. The middle and lower class didn't get trickled down, they got trickled on. And just to keep everybody clear about Ronald Reagan, I have no idea why he's considered some. Well, actually, I have some idea why he's considered some political god. And I think it was because he came in right after Jimmy Carter, and the stock market was going around, of historical proportions. And I know people, and I'm not really proud to say this, but I know a guy who was who was a colonel, yes, in the Army in Vietnam, started a business. It's now publicly traded, Gulfstream, houses around the country, all that stuff. And I had asked him all back, what's his political center? And he said, I vote for whoever puts money in my pocket. And I vote against people who take money away. I'm thinking, is there more shallow thought than that? And there probably is, but I don't know what it would be. So if you're a recipient of prosperity, you're for the God. And if there's no prosperity, you're against the God. Oh, geez, how convenient. Grifting is such a low term that I always try not to use it. But I just don't, after a while, what do you say? All the fraud convictions. And then the guy goes and lies about it, like to corroborate the fraud. And my favorite credibility story is, even when it's asked, Trump says something, how do you believe it? Trump says, Trump lies, right? And the question comes back to, I love doing this, thank you, credibility. And I think the original Greek, Latin, whatever it was the translation was worthy of being believed. How about that? If it is worthy of being believed, then you are credible. Okay. So let's kind of take a look at some of those old fact statements on that. Oh, but you know what? We don't even have to do that. We can use Crystal Harper as a shortcut. You guys have seen all this. It's time to roll up sleeves, hard work kind of thing. And I know not everyone's into that, but this is a grassroots election. People are being hurt on the ground everywhere. I mean, I guarantee you there's somebody who's lost their health coverage or can't afford to eat or put gasoline in their car. I mean, this, paying almost $7 a gallon. That's a little crib in the old budget. And I can understand Trump saying, "Oh, I'm not concerned about that." Well, God, if I was working $4 billion and made $3 billion last year, might not be concerned about others either. But I'm a warm-hearted sense of human being, and I think there are certain rights that are civil rights that are given to people just out of some notion of fundamental fairness and traditional notions of justice. I think there's a legal term, something like offends fair play and traditional notions of justice or something. And at the very least, what we're seeing really offends. Uh, we're awfully thankful the Star Wars Hero let me hang and host this. It would either be this or nothing at all. So, and I've always kind of glad to come on and hopefully share an observation or two and maybe even motivate someone. And I will tell you something very cool that happened this morning. I'm sure everybody knows about modern day high school. And well, modern day liked my music video, my reel called UFC at the White House. Excuse me. And it's a modern day, kind of conservative Catholic high school here in Santa Ana. They're a real powerhouse locally. I mean, I'm sure they have some of the highest numbers of athletes being drafted or getting scholarships. They're a big deal. And when they say we like your video, that tells me that there's some sort of crossover beyond just Democrats, and I think that can well be significant. And once you've broken out of your niche, then you can grow. You can only grow, I think, so much in your niche, in your little segment. But if you just grow out of that, the sky's the limit. And it's not unlike going to space. The initial thrust necessary to get the rocket off the launching pad is so huge that once you get into space, you really don't need any sort of propulsion. So, anyways, all right. I'll share that kind of Star Trek thought with you. And sort of curious, obviously, any Star Trek fans out there? If so, give us a call, 949-629-3820. And so, are you a William Shatner Star Trek guy, or Jean-Luc? That's the name of the thing. Hey, what's his real name? Or the new Jean-Luc, whatever his name is. I actually kind of like the and then the Star Trek Next Generation or something. I actually kind of like the new version, the Next Generation. I feel it's not. I thought it's better in every way. Oh, maybe it might just be age, thinking that some of the props and effects on Star Trek might be a little primitive. You kind of hate to think that just because it was like 1964 or something, but that's probably true. Two guns. Have anyone seen any really cool political bumper stickers lately? If you have, give us a call at 949-629-3820 and let us know. And, if you just so happen to go to our homepage, RoxyRadioNetwork.com, if you scroll down, you'll see the live stream link and the phone number to call in. And if you look, I think above that, come near the top, you may see a PayPal donate button. And I'm here to ask you, I don't want you to click the button. I don't want you to tap it. I don't want you to do any of that kind of stuff with it. What I want you to do is smash the living daylights out of it. And let's make some donations. So I have a shot at actually paying for my tires. I'm sure that would please everybody just to see me be a little more mobile. I'm sure the guy at Walmart would like it. I think clearly, like if I moved, I want to say my appointment is 9 a.m. tomorrow, so that leaves less than 21 hours. Or after it's not like 1 o'clock. So 1 o'clock till midnight is 11 hours. And 9 till 9 excuse me, till 9 in the morning is 9 hours, I mean, total 20 hours. So we will be under adverse conditions for at least 20 hours. I should be back at our preferred undisclosed location, Newport Harbor, and I'll just get ready here. And I gotta tell you, I can't wait to check into this Democratic candidate for Newport Beach City Council. This is just such a Republican community that you would see this years ago. They just would assume there's no chance in hell. But as people live and learn, they're realizing that there is a chance. They do realize that this is the perfect time for running against Trump and his MAGA people, because we can't let things get any worse. I mean, and everybody knows as bad as things are, they can always get worse. So the best we can do is to minimize this, is to get power in Washington. You know, you can think power's nasty word, all that, but it depends on how it's used. And power in DC is genuine. I mean, that's what it's all about. You have some of the brightest people from around the world in this little district, DC, and general proposition, they're pretty well. They're well to do these days. It's not like nothing like it used to be. So DC is I say it's not Trump's play toward redesign. And another thing, how do you get away with just knocking down part of the White House? Now, I'm going to tell you, as under the Roberts Court, I think they would let him do it. Matter of fact, under the Roberts Court, I don't think there'd be a whole lot to hold him responsible for. I mean, clearly, that no audit agreement, if that's what you want to call it, surely that's just actionable. Please, God, tell me it's actionable. Where is Andrew Weissman and George Conway? We need them. Huh? I mean, guys, that's what you need to do. Is have like Conway and Weissman and Conway. I don't care. But yeah, have a law firm and just dedicate to this. I'm sure you'll be well funded. And I'm going to tell you something else I thought would be really cool is in law schools, like 101 Law School, I would like them to try Trump on January 6 charges and see how they come out. Have a legitimate prosecution put up, have a legitimate defense put up, and let's let everybody see it here. When we're America, we don't mind doing things out in the open, do we? Truth of the matter is, Americans don't have a problem with that, but Trump prefers these. Do you ever remember the term Court of the Star Chamber? I think that was like in the 1500s or something, 1600s. And all trials were held in secret. Imagine that. How fair is that? Nobody, no observers, no nothing. So yeah, the point of the matter was that it was not a particularly fair process. Which you gotta hand it to them. if there's ever a group that excels at unfair practices, it is. Who did I say it was? Who would those people be? That's right. The Republicans, you guessed it. So anyway, let's keep plugging away and see what else guys want to talk about. Anyway, I actually see the Spurs game last night. I caught bits and pieces, and Wembanyama he just had a great game. He stepped up and kept the Spurs alive. And I don't know if I told you guys this, but one of my old friends from school in San Diego was a basketball player in college and went to law school at St. Mary's in Texas. And Rich was, and I saw him play like later on in life, and he'd just stand 10 to 15 feet, in back of the free throw line, different angles, and just the ball would just swish through every time. I'm like, but he was just kind of standing there, not running or anything. As it turns out, he gets letters of interest from the Celtics to be a guard and from the Dallas Cowboys to be a tight end. And, kind of, as we look back on it, Rich kind of decided that, if he played basketball, he'd wind up crippled. If he played football, he'd wind up dead. So he was a really smart guy. As an accountant, tax attorney, just excels in mergers and acquisitions. But there's no attorney that I trust more than my friend Richard Smella. Rich is, he does big deal M&As, and that stuff's very technical, and the liability, malpractice liability is huge, and Rich plugs away. He is as good as any big firm attorney anywhere in the United States, and I'm amazed he's my friend. But anyway, joined the local Democratic Conference lately. The Laguna Beach Democratic Club meets tomorrow at 6 p.m. Sorry. And I am surely hoping to be there. My tire appointment's at 9. I should end the show at 12. So I should have time to do something in between. At least one can only hope. And you know what else? There's also a problem when you broadcast from a coffee place and that you continually need to go wash your hands. And I'm gonna see if we can make it to the 1 hour mark and log out and then attend to things. Sometimes nature doesn't call, sometimes it screams and beats the door down, and we certainly don't want that to happen in Starbucks. But so the Spurs get a couple of days off, and the Knicks are up 2-1, and you would have to. Could this be a 7-game series? It kind of looks like it depends on Wembanyama. Red Hour back when I saw this coach was right. He can't teach tall. Maybe he'll teach him to make moves. Maybe he'll teach him how to dribble. Maybe he'll teach him how to make a shot. But you can't teach him how to be tall. It's one of those black and white things that you can't really argue about, which makes me wonder who Trump said he was a better basketball player than Wembanyama. Now, I'm going to tell you the real test I want to see relative to Trump, who's clearly the smartest guy that ever existed. Kind of make you laugh. But what I would like to see, since Trump is the smartest guy in the world ever, I would like to see a debate between him and Gavin Newsom. And you guys know I'm a Gavin Newsom or a Newsom 2028 guy. My deal is go get him, Gavin. and I would bet money, and I'm not a betting person, but I would bet money that it's not going to be a fair fight. I mean, I would bet, I would bet the farm on Gavin Newsom and debating Trump. And the truth of the matter is, Newsom might be so good, Trump might have a stroke right on stage. And I don't mean to joke about, strokes or medical conditions, but it's not like God does much to help himself. I mean, a lifetime of McDonald's cheeseburgers and Diet Cokes just doesn't seem like the recipe for a healthy senior home. And God, how that gets no exercise. He gets out of the car, the golf cart, takes a swing, gets back in the golf cart. But you know what he really excels at, and this is one of those Caddyshack rumors, is that he cheats so badly. He kicks so many balls on the golf course. The caddies call him Pele, right? I'm sorry, guys. Apparently somebody else thought that was funny also. But yeah, so that's the guy we're dealing with. And as we start to draw to a close on this Tuesday, June 9th, Taco Tuesday, California, of course, I'm faced with the same life-altering decision every California has to make on Tuesdays, and that's where to go for Taco Tuesday. Since I am far from home in a part of town that I don't know well, with a car sitting that has a sheet metal screw sticking out of the head, you can rest sure whatever we're going to do is going to be close. So last night, I hadn't had Thai food in a while and found a Thai place across the street that was really good. Well, I don't know if I don't think they were expensive. I think I was just cheap. I think pad Thai was like $10 or $11, and tax was $14. That $3 tips and $17. So it's probably not too bad these days. And what makes me think it might be reasonable is things are taught much different parts of town. And in my neck of the woods, not only would that high beach double, it would suck. At least here, I'm relatively sure that, and the place is called Thai Way, by the way. I think it's 648 Harbor Boulevard, Santa Ana, Device and Rest. I vouch for them. Thai Way, 648 Harbor Boulevard. And it's on the opposite side of the street from the Walmart. And it's just like in the back of the McDonald's at the intersection of Palmer and McFadden. Check it out. Let me know if you like it or not. I thought the food was good, and it's funny. I was in there alone, and really small place, maybe 2 or 3 tables. And the truth of the matter is, whoever owns that restaurant is working really hard to make it survive. And I think like people that are working hard should be encouraged. I don't think it's up to ICE to come in and alter the status quo. And plus, nobody had any problems with Hillary deal, the worst of the worst. I mean, Democrats would love that. But guess what? Oops, how did I know you were? Oh, we'll try to take another try at that. Would you like to guess? Yeah, I love doing that. Thanks, guys. But yeah, I just don't think ICE is designed to rip families apart. And there's so many things. I'm not necessarily what's said or done, but how they're said or done. And I say, and Trump just, he's just a regular. He'll say anything to make a buck or sell a project or whatever it is. He has no no moral sinner. And Joe Biden was right when he said Trump had the alleys of had the morals of an alley cat. And I got to tell the story just one more time. My favorite example of Trump's reasoning and credibility is at the Stormy Daniels trial. Stormy's on the witness stand, and the prosecuting attorney says something like, "What color underwear the defendant have on?" Stormy says red. Next question is something like, well, "Did you see the defendant's penis?" "Yes, I saw the defendant's penis." "Well, was it unique in any way? Did it have any distinguishing characteristics?" "Well, yeah, kind of hooked to the left like a real trouser trout." "Okay, noted. And and just to wrap this up, how would you rate the defendant's performance in bed?" They say, "Hey, nothing really to home about and all that." "So thank you, Miss Daniels, your excuse." So Stormy sits down, and now Stormy made 3 points. That he was wearing underwear, had a funny shaped penis, and was lousy in the side. So it's up to Trump to make that, just to neutralize that argument. He can say, "No, not only was I not there, but I never wear red underwear." Or not only was I not there, and not only don't I wear red underwear, but my penis is perfect. Or he can say, "Not only did I not wear blue underwear, and not only is my penis perfect, but my sexual performance was outstanding." Right? Those are like likely things he would say to impeach Stormy's testimony. Impeach is just kind of like making a call a lie, calling her a lie. And so, of course, Trump takes a witness stand, and his attorney says something like, starts asking about the meeting, and Trump says something like, "Never saw him before in my life." I'm sorry, never saw her before in my life. She's saying with specificity, red underwear, funny shaped penis, and lousy inside. No hesitation, just that's what she testified to. So then, and so Trump's side of the argument is never saw her before in my life. So now we have two people making two statements about the same event. And we have to decide who's telling the truth, who is worthy of being believed. So how do you determine whether someone's worthy of being believed? Of course, you look at past behavior. And when you look at Stormy's past behavior, she may have had occupations that, were a little out of the ordinary, but there was no evidence of her, not being truthful. Okay, so that establishes Stormy's credibility. Now let's look at Trump's credibility and see how his argument shapes up against Stormy's. And his argument is never saw before in my life. Okay, let's look at Trump's background and his tendency toward truth telling. And you look at, when it comes to the ability to tell the truth, whatever it takes, Trump just ain't got it. Trump ain't got any. He has no ability to tell the truth. So, as I weigh Stormy Daniels' words versus the testimony of Donald Trump, I can only conclude that Stormy is more believable than Donald. And how about that? I'm sure if you can prove the same way, let us know. Give us a call, 949-629-3820. And then we'll check in. You feel free to email the show. And guys, in all seriousness, I want to end. I always try to end kind of lighthearted and all that. But what I would really like to do is keep reminding people about the UFC fight on 14. Time's running out, so if you want to get a ticket, let's get it quickly. I kind of want to go out on my thoughts about UFC the White House, and here it is.
Trump hosts UFC. You and me, we can't even eat. Come November, we're gonna beat Republicans. Republicans. Republicans.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we're going to end it on this Top Tuesday. And like I said, just wish everybody well. Have a decent day. Give us a call, check in, email, whatever you'd like to do. And if you have any ideas or thoughts on who you would like us to interview, we're always open to suggestions. And the truth of the matter is, I would like the Democracy Radio Network to be media arm for local politics, state, local, democratic politics. And guys, with that in mind, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. And, we go through this almost every day, and I hate saying goodbye, so I don't. What I tend to say is, what do I tend to say? That's a good question. Oh, how about, guys, it's time to either should I make like a tree and leave, or make like an amoeba and split? Now, if I make like an amoeba and split, I have to decide if it's length or width. So I think we'll just kind of make like a tree and leave, and tell you guys thanks for tuning in and watching MoxieRadioNetwork.com. I am your somewhat politically savvy host, Abby Kaufman, and truth of the matter is, we can't wait until tomorrow, and we'll do this all again. Thanks, guys. Take care, stay well, and what's that thing we always